We were engaged. He left me for a 19-year-old he has been talking to online for the past 3 months. This will be quite a long story, and I also apologize in advance for any grammar mistakes. I'm Brazilian and English is not my first language. In 2017, I was 18. I met an American through an app called Yellow. It doesn't exist anymore. He was 20. We talked for over 2 years before we got to meet in person. Our love grew, and even though we didn't consider ourselves a couple, because it would be crazy to start a relationship with someone that lives almost 10,000 kilometers from you that you've never even met in person. We didn't have anything with anyone else in the meantime. To be honest though, he wanted us to assume ourselves as a couple back then, but I refused. We were always messaging, video calling, and sending each other cards for special dates, so we could have something palpable. In 2019, I got my very first job, was an internship actually. I didn't make much, but I saved all the money to buy a plane ticket to go there and see him. Important to mention that his parents didn't trust me enough to let him come here first, because there's this stereotype of people from third world countries wanting to marry people from rich countries just to get citizenship. So in order to prove I wasn't that type of person, I had to go there first. I spent a long time trying to convince my parents to do so and also raising money for the ticket. Our mothers actually started messaging each other throughout the process, and it helped build some trust. Finally, the day came. I got enough money for the ticket and bought it. That was one of the happiest days of my life. That was June 2019. We met on January 2020. The rest of 2019, I was just dreaming about the special day, and I was so motivated I got the best grades ever at university. My life was perfect. I had nothing to complain about. So the day came. After almost 24 hours of flying and airport layovers, I was there. It was a feeling I'll never forget. A mix of the good type of anxiety and victory for finally being able to meet the guy I loved. I stayed there with him from January to March 2020. He was extremely nice and romantic. I never felt so happy. He really was my soulmate. He was also a very emotional guy, wasn't ashamed of crying and showing his emotions towards me. He asked me to be his girlfriend the day after I got there, and he cried when I said yes. I never expected what I'll tell next to happen though. On my last day there, his parents drove with us to drop me off at the airport, and he cried the whole way there. We spent some time by ourselves at the airport, and when the time came for me to go through security to go to the gates, he got down on one knee and asked me to marry him. I never expected that, and I was just filled with happiness. Then I said yes, but had to walk away, so yeah, even though it was a beautiful moment, it was also very sad. I came back to Brazil, and we just went back to our online relationship. He eventually came here on December 2020 and stayed until February 2021. We had an awesome time here. I took him to the beach. It was his first time seeing the ocean. I'll never forget his smile when we went in the water. So towards the end of his stay, we sat down with my family and told them our plans. His parents would give us, as their wedding gift, one of the best immigration lawyers in the United States, so I could get a K-1 visa and get married there. We started the process, sent them a bunch of documents, and were just waiting on the government to give us a feedback. This process is a bit slow now because of the pandemic, so we spent this full year waiting. Now there comes the bad part of the story that I never thought would happen. October 2021, the worst month of my life. Actually, I need to go back a little bit, to August 2021. There was this Brazilian girl that did a high school exchange at his city a few years back, 2017/2018. They only saw each other in person once at the time, had each other added on Snapchat ever since, but never talked. When the Tokyo Olympics finally started, she posted a story on Snapchat about Brazil losing in a game of volleyball or something. That's what he told me at least. Since him and I always watched the games together when we could, he knew about it and replied to her story making a joke. They've been talking ever since. He told her about me and our story, that we were engaged, etc., and she thought it was awesome and asked to follow me on Instagram. I accepted it. She was extremely nice to me in the beginning and also replied extremely fast. After a few days talking on there, she asked me for my WhatsApp number. I'll confess that I didn't really want to give her because I barely knew her and I don't like giving my number to random people. But I didn't want to be rude, so I ended up giving her my number and we started talking there. After just a little, while talking on WhatsApp, she asked me if we wanted to do a video call with her, us three. I thought she was moving way too fast with intimacy with us, but I asked my fiancé if he wanted to and he said it was up to me. I ended up accepting it. It was actually nice and we called once or twice more. Well, so this situation of her being friends with us lasted for about a month, but around the beginning of October, I started being suspicious about some things with the two. We used to call every night before I slept. I'm at GMT 3 and he's at GMT 5. And he started giving excuses to go to sleep earlier because he was feeling sick, tired, etc., and I believed him. Well, all those times he was ending our call earlier to call her for 3 hours straight. They also called at other times during the day that I never knew about. He also put ghost mode on Snapchat, so I couldn't see when he was there talking to her, and he was always saying it was a glitch. I only believed that because Snapchat really is a very glitchy app, but none of the times I asked it was an actual glitch. He admitted everything after. They were flirting, sexting, and everything, and at the time it was just 2 months after they started talking. I only found out because a few days after I started getting suspicious, I messaged him asking if she had ever flirted with him. He said yes, and I freaked out. I also found out later on that the moment I sent him that message they were on a call, and he told her so she was pressuring him to tell me the truth. That's the only reason why he said yes. Then as I saw he wasn't replying to my messages, I called him and obviously interrupted their call. He answered. This was a long call. I told him everything I had been suspicious about and he confirmed every single thing. Then at night, we called again. Our longest video call ever. 9 hours and 37 minutes straight. I've been so bad lately that I can't remember everything, but how it went was basically me telling him all my feelings, how I would do everything over and over again to have the same love and happiness feeling as I did when I went there, how I would sacrifice everything, how many times I would need to just to feel that way again. Then also about our dreams of having a family and everything, how he destroyed everything within a few days. I've seen him cry lots in the past, but nothing like this night. He was bawling his eyes out. The call lasted all night. It ended at around 7:30 a.m. and I slept until 8:30 a.m. He slept longer than I did. When he woke up, he sent me a long message apologizing, saying how bad he felt and begged for my forgiveness. Yes, I know, I'm stupid, but I was going to forgive him. He was telling me that anything I wanted him to do to gain my trust back, to let him know. I told him to block her in all social medias. He did. He sent me screenshots of everything. The long call happened from a Friday night through a Saturday morning. His regret and attempt to try gaining my trust back only lasted until Sunday. These 2 days he spent apologizing and telling me how he wanted to grow old with me, that kind of stuff. Well, like all this didn't seem bad enough, the worst part of the story comes now. On Monday morning, I was at the gym and I got a message from him. The way he wrote seemed odd, so I asked if something was wrong and he said he didn't feel good. I immediately left the gym and told him to give me a few minutes, that I would get home and we could call. As soon as I got home, I didn't even shower or anything, I just went in my room and called him. Then he just finished shattering my heart. He said he needed to be honest with me. He said that from the very first time we met in person, when I went there, he felt something wasn't right between us, that he didn't feel a connection. He said kissing and other intimate moments felt weird. He said he only proceeded with everything, asked me to marry him, started my visa process, and everything because he was scared of being alone. Since he never had another relationship before and I was the first one that ever got interested in him, he felt like he had to do everything he could to keep me in his life, so he wouldn't end up alone. Now that he had found this other girl, he felt he really connected with someone. I was stabbed in the back multiple times by the person that always said that I was his soulmate and by a girl that came into my life pretending to be my friend, and I actually believed that. This same day, he unblocked her in all social medias and changed his profile picture everywhere. It was a picture of us. So yeah, my world just fell apart in a matter of days. He became what he criticized the most and I became what I feared the most. I'm already a skinny person and I lost around 4 kg in a week. I never had trouble sleeping, Now I simply can't have at least a decent night of sleep. I wake up in the middle of the night many times with my heart racing. I have multiple nightmares about the situation. I even had a few panic attacks. I don't have energy to do anything. I'm on my last semester of college and I can't do anything. I can't eat, I've thrown up multiple times, and just seeing food makes me nauseous. I honestly rather be dead than have all these feelings. Less than a month ago, I was the happiest person ever. I had something to look forward to. I had someone in my life that I thought that loved me. Turned out it was just a huge lie. No matter how much I write about this, how much detail I put into everything, I won't be able to describe my sadness and emptiness. I would wish no one this feeling, not even them.